All right. This time we're going to be taking a gander at a Casablanca Delta II in traditional brown. So brown as a ceiling fan finish in general, though most specifically traditional brown by Casablanca, is one of those finishes that all the collectors choke their poultry over. Exactly why, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is a really cool finish, but I don't know. It might just be because I've never really been one to associate thoughts and feelings of romance towards my ceiling fan collection. And for that reason, do not expect me to do all the moaning and groaning and gawking over this fan that you'd probably see on every other ceiling fan channel on YouTube. Because my channel stands for originality, which is exactly why I spent the entire year of 2020 ripping off other YouTubers' intros. But I digress. So traditional brown had been around since pretty much the beginning of Casablanca. It was finish number 7, so one of the 9 earliest finishes that Casablanca offered. Fan is from 1988, which means it has a 4.5 flywheel. I am using 4 blades because it's more traditional, no pun intended. And traditional brown is just, straight brown. And it has a little bit of a gloss to it. It's not completely matte like charcoal black is, but it's not nearly as glossy as finishes like snow white or glossy black are. It has medium oak blades. Fan is in really nice shape cosmetically, and it has a Casablanca pendant. And it did come 100% complete. So this ceiling fan, at the current moment, holds the record for the longest distance I have ever traveled to obtain a ceiling fan. I had to drive 3 hours into the depths of Pennsylvania for this thing, and it was 3 hours in each direction, so a 6-hour round trip in total. And for those of you who don't know what Pennsylvania is, it is essentially the rural no man's land in between the major cities in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Harrisburg, and Pittsburgh. Those areas are nothing but wide open fields and people who you'd swear are actually residents of Kentucky, hence the name. But I digress again. So now we'll go ahead and turn on the fan, starting with lemon. And real quick, here is the downrod. And here is the hang true with the crossbar attached. So low speed is a little faster than some other Delta IIs I've seen. And the fan does have some dry bearing noise as well. The bearings are certainly not scratchy or hissy by any means, but they are a bit dry. So they're fine for now, but they certainly will need replacing at some point. Because they are certainly very loose, they're not stiff at all. Now we'll kick it up to medium. So traditional brown was offered on a handful of models. At this current period, when this fan would have been made, 1988, so the late 80s, traditional brown was still around, but it was not offered on many models. Aside from the Delta II, the Cascade is the only one I can think of off the top of my head. Overall, I'd say the Delta II is probably the most common model that can be found with this finish. The second most common would be the Delta I. Next would probably be the Zephyr. And then the Cascade and the Four Seasons, I'm not even sure about those. Those might be tied for the most rare. And then when you include the brown and brass combos, the early Panama and the Zephyr and the Delta, it gets even more complicated. And there may have been other models that brown was offered in that I'm forgetting right now. So it's definitely not the rarest finish, like pewter and the coppers and the pinks and the reds are probably more rare than this, but nevertheless it's not that common. Alright, now let's take it to high. Fan gets up to speed very quickly. And this one is very fast and very powerful. Delta IIs in general are very powerful on high speed, but this one might be even more so than some of my other Delta IIs. And the fan is very well balanced, which is nice. I'm not sure about the fifth blade, however. Maybe at some point I'll have to do this thing in the 5-blade configuration and test that out. But the 4 blades it has on are all vary in pitch with each other, which is nice. Blowing a ton of air. Turn it off. And there you go. A Casablanca Delta II in traditional brown.